At the age of 22, Emily's life seemed ordinary, her future uncertain. She had dreams of escaping her small town and living a life of luxury, but she never imagined it would come in the form of a 70-year-old millionaire. When Eleanor Brooks, an elderly widow with wealth beyond measure, offered Emily a proposal, she was left speechless. The offer was simple: marry her, and in return, Emily would be given a life of comfort, wealth, and freedom. But beneath the surface, something felt off. Eleanor's eyes, sharp yet kind, held a secret that Emily couldn't quite place. The old woman's offer wasn't just about money, it was personal. "You're young, beautiful, and full of life," Eleanor said. "I want you to live a life you deserve. There's more to me than you think, Emily." Confusion mixed with curiosity as Emily hesitated. The marriage seemed too strange to be real. She wondered what kind of hidden motive could drive such an offer, but the allure of a rich, carefree life was too tempting. As her thoughts raced, Eleanor's cryptic smile grew wider. The contract was signed that very evening, sealing Emily's fate in a world she barely understood. Little did she know, the life ahead of her would shatter everything she thought she knew about love, trust, and the price of a secret too dark to reveal. As Emily settled into her new life, the mansion became her world, a beautiful cold place where every room echoed with silence. Eleanor, though kind, kept to herself. Their conversations were polite but shallow, and Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something was being kept from her. It wasn't long before she began noticing strange things. Eleanor would disappear for days without explanation, always leaving behind cryptic messages or vague promises. One night, Emily ventured into the study, a room she was forbidden from entering. The door creaked as she slowly pushed it open, her heart pounding. Inside, the walls were lined with old books, but what caught her attention was a large, locked chest resting in the corner. She hesitated but was driven by an insatiable curiosity. The chest was cold to the touch, the keyhole glinting in the dim light. After what felt like an eternity, she managed to find a spare key in the desk drawer. The chest clicked open with a sharp sound that echoed through the room. Inside, she found papers, legal documents, old photographs, and a diary. The pictures were of Eleanor, but not the woman Emily had come to know. In one photo, Eleanor was younger, standing beside a man Emily didn't recognize. The date on the photo was decades old, and the man's face held an expression of something deeper than just love. Betrayal, maybe? Emily flipped through the diary, her hands trembling. The words within told a story of loss, revenge, and secrets buried under layers of wealth. Eleanor's late husband had been a powerful man, but his fortune hadn't come without cost. It was clear that the woman Emily had married wasn't simply seeking companionship. She was hiding something, and Emily was about to uncover it. The shock hit her like a wave. Eleanor's wealth, her mysterious behavior, it all had a dark history that no one could have anticipated. Emily suddenly found herself questioning everything about her new life and the woman she had trusted. What was Eleanor really after? The more Emily read, the clearer it became that Eleanor's past was tangled with revenge. She learned that Eleanor's late husband, once a prominent businessman, had lost everything in a series of failed investments, most of which involved people he had once trusted. Eleanor had been left with nothing but a crumbling empire, and her late husband's betrayal had cut deep. But what Emily didn't understand at first was the true extent of Eleanor's bitterness. As the days passed, Eleanor grew more distant, and Emily's suspicions only deepened. The cryptic comments from Eleanor's past began to make sense. Her true intentions for Emily were far from innocent. Eleanor had married her not out of affection, but as part of a calculated plan. It was revenge, hidden behind a facade of kindness. Emily was stunned when she discovered a particular entry in the diary, revealing a carefully crafted scheme. Eleanor had chosen Emily because of her youth, her beauty, and most importantly, her connection to a family Emily had never known. The diary described how Eleanor planned to use Emily's marriage to manipulate the remaining wealth of her late husband, as well as exact revenge on the people who had caused their downfall. Emily had become nothing more than a pawn in a game of vengeance. The documents Emily had found outlined an elaborate financial plan, one that would not only expose secrets, but also ruin lives. Her marriage was nothing but a trap, a way for Eleanor to finally settle old scores. Eleanor's intentions had nothing to do with love. It was all about restoring what was lost. The realization hit Emily like a blow. She had been swept into a web of lies, and her life was now tied to a woman whose heart had been consumed by bitterness. But there was no turning back. The wedding was a symbol, a public display of Eleanor's control, and Emily had unknowingly walked right into it. As the days wore on, Emily's guilt and confusion began to consume her. She couldn't shake the feeling of being trapped in a life she hadn't chosen. The wealth and luxury no longer felt like a reward. They felt like a prison. She began to pull away from Eleanor, distancing herself from the woman who had once seemed like a mentor. The mansion, once her dream, now felt cold and suffocating. But Eleanor noticed. One evening, as Emily sat by the fireplace, lost in thought, Eleanor entered the room. The silence between them was thick with unspoken words. Eleanor's gaze was sharp, as if she knew everything Emily had uncovered. "You found the truth, haven't you?" Eleanor's voice was calm, but there was a hint of something darker beneath it. Emily stared at her in shock. How could she possibly know? Eleanor didn't wait for a response. "You think I married you for love, don't you?" she asked, her voice laced with bitterness. "I'm not some foolish old woman chasing affection. This marriage was never about you. It was never about love. It was about revenge on the people who took everything from us." Emily's heart raced, and the room felt like it was closing in on her. Eleanor's words cut deeper than any revelation could. The woman she had thought was a mentor, even a motherly figure, was a cold, calculating mastermind. Her entire life had been a lie. But just as Emily was about to respond, Eleanor held up her hand. "Before you say anything, you should know something," she continued, her tone now softer, almost regretful. "There's a side to me you haven't seen, a side that I thought was buried. You're not the only one being used in this game. We both are." Eleanor's confession sent a chill down Emily's spine. She realized then that Eleanor's revenge wasn't just about money. It was about something far more personal, a tragedy that had scarred her for years. But how much of this was true, and how much was just another part of Eleanor's manipulation? The truth was slipping through Emily's fingers like sand, and yet she couldn't stop herself from falling deeper into the web. The days following Eleanor's revelation were filled with tension. Emily's mind was a whirlwind of emotions, betrayal, confusion, and fear. She couldn't ignore the growing suspicion that everything in her life had been carefully orchestrated by Eleanor. The woman she had married was not just seeking revenge on the people who wronged her late husband. She was playing a dangerous game with Emily's life as a pawn. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something else was hidden, something far darker than even Eleanor's twisted plans. Late one night, unable to sleep, she returned to the study, determined to uncover more. The diary, the legal papers, and the photographs had already shown her part of the story, but she needed the whole truth. What had really happened between Eleanor and her late husband? She found another journal, one that was older, its pages yellowed with age. As she flipped through it, a name jumped out at her. Mark Williams, Eleanor's late husband's business partner. The entries were filled with rage and regret, but what caught Emily's attention was a single line, written in red ink. "Mark will pay for what he did to me." It all came crashing down. Eleanor's wealth, her cold demeanor, her secretive behavior. It wasn't just about money. Mark Williams had been the one who betrayed her late husband, the one who had led him to ruin, and the one who had stolen everything from Eleanor. But Eleanor hadn't just lost her husband's fortune. She had lost her own sense of identity, her peace of mind, and her chance at a normal life. Emily felt a pit form in her stomach. Eleanor had never wanted a young wife for companionship or love. She had wanted Emily to be the key to her revenge, and Emily had unwittingly walked into the heart of it all. But there was something more. Eleanor had never stopped loving Mark, even after everything he had done. Emily had discovered something she wasn't supposed to know. Eleanor's hatred was not just for Mark's betrayal, it was for herself, for loving a man who had destroyed her life. The weight of the discovery was almost too much to bear. Emily now understood the full extent of Eleanor's plan, but she also knew she couldn't stay in the marriage any longer. Eleanor's motives were clear, and Emily could no longer pretend she was a willing participant in this twisted game. The morning after Emily's discovery, everything had changed. The mansion no longer felt like a symbol of her new life. It felt like a cage. She couldn't look at Eleanor without feeling a deep, unsettling mix of pity and anger. The old woman's twisted quest for revenge had consumed everything, even the possibility of redemption. But Emily was determined to end the cycle, no matter the cost. Emily confronted Eleanor in the same room where their marriage had been sealed. The tension between them was palpable, both women standing at opposite ends of the room, each carrying a burden too heavy to bear. "You never wanted me, did you?" Emily asked, her voice shaking but steady. "You wanted me because I was the perfect tool for your revenge. I was nothing more than a means to an end." Eleanor's eyes flickered with something, regret perhaps, but her pride wouldn't let her show it. "You don't understand," she said, her voice low. "I've been living with this pain for so long. I've lost everything. He took everything from me." "I know," Emily replied, her voice softening, "but it's not my fight. It never was." The room was silent for a long moment. Emily knew that there was nothing more she could say. The woman she had married was lost to her past, to her bitterness, to her quest for vengeance. But Emily wasn't. She refused to let Eleanor drag her down any longer. The final twist came when Emily, in a moment of clarity, decided to leave. She walked away from the mansion, from the life of wealth and luxury, choosing instead a path of freedom and self-determination. But before she left, she did one thing that no one had ever expected. She exposed Eleanor's secrets. With the help of the documents she had uncovered, Emily leaked everything. Eleanor's illegal business dealings, her obsession with revenge, and the truth behind her marriage to Emily. It didn't take long for the story to go viral, and within days, Eleanor's empire crumbled. The woman who had once seemed invincible was now a figure of public scorn. But Emily's life didn't end in bitterness. As she moved on, starting anew with the knowledge that she could build her future on her own terms, she found something that had been missing all along: peace. The past, with all its secrets and regrets, was behind her. And though the scars remained, they no longer controlled her. As for Eleanor, her life was now a lesson in the consequences of letting revenge consume you. Emily's final act of exposing the truth had been the ultimate form of justice, and perhaps the redemption both women needed in their own ways.